What's going on, everyone? This is Daryl Andrews, Coach D, coming to you with our Monday Wisdom Talks. We made some changes, as you know, to our Monday format, and so we're kind of instead of kind of being narrow as far as just workforce development, we're now expanding this on to anyone in the workplace, education, which we do a lot of work there, corporate, we do quite a bit of work there as well. So these wisdom talks aren't just me talking. It's really a byproduct of 20 plus years of experience as a consultant, as a coach, as a trainer, and working with literally thousands of organizations, multiple individuals, hundreds and thousands of individuals, and sharing insight and wisdom into things that help us become more um, productive, professional, a variety of different things. So, very excited about this opportunity. Let's make this interactive. So make sure if you're watching that you go in the chat feature, tell us who you are. And good morning, Dr. Rochelle. Glad you're on board. And like Dr. Rochelle just did, she typed her name in there too. If you're coming in from Facebook, we don't always see your name. So make sure you type your name in when you make a comment, because this is going to be an interesting subject today. It's going to be, yes. Good morning, Eva. How you doing? All right. Glad you're on board. This is going to be an interesting subject because I don't know anyone out there. It's very rare that we don't have in our workplace some challenges with certain people, certain people. And I'll tell you right now, man, if you're like me, most of my work has been over, 2 decades. I've been consulting, but I've hired people to, and have people on my team, and as well as I've worked in different organizations and corporations prior to becoming an entrepreneur, social entrepreneur. So, but there's just always seems to be certain people that forever, what the reason, seem to rub a lot of people the wrong way. I mean, not just one person, but a lot of people the wrong way. And in the workplace, that's difficult. Thank you, Stacy. It's good to see you on board. It's difficult. And I know there's plenty more because the way this is set up, I can't see everyone and everyone can't type in from where to be. Like if you're on YouTube, I don't think you can type in. So I know there's more people that see this. But here's the thing I want us to understand. This is not something we can ignore and just accept as okay, because it has too much of an effect on people. Like if you got to go to work in the morning and you got somebody that's really rubbing you the wrong way, that can psychologically have an impact on you because you're not even looking forward to going to work. Or when you get there, you realize that, okay, at some point throughout this day, this person is going to do their thing. And it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be, it's going to cause stress, and it's going to make many people desire for the day to end. And sadly, some company, and this is an important statement for my HR people out there, some companies hire for talent, but not necessarily people skills, which I think is a very dangerous thing to do. I really do. I always tell people I would take a little less talent with a person that has great people skills, because the reality of the matter is we have to work with each other every day. And this message is not just applicable to work. It could be at home. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Wendy, how you doing? All right. nice to see you. Thank you for jumping on board. And so these wisdom talks are really going to be designed to share some insights to challenges that we face, but then also solutions. So I'm doing these every Monday at 10 o'clock through my various streams on Facebook, on LinkedIn, a variety of different things. And you may notice I'm in a different location than normal. I'm probably going to start doing them from here because this is my man cave. And we still, after all this time, still dealing with this COVID thing. So I'm streaming now from my man cave. And for your Philadelphia Eagles fans, I got my Reggie White jersey back there. And if you don't like Reggie White or the Eagles, that's your problem, not mine. We Eagle fans are diehards. So this challenge of people dealing with difficult people is not new. It's been around for years. Um, People, again, the tragedy of it is a lot of times people just get used to it. They look at it and say, well, it's just the way it is. And they go to work and they say, oh, that's just so and so, or that's just so and so, or that's just so and so. But again, I would say that it's of critical importance that we don't look at it as that's just so and so. We need to address these things. We need to take a look at what's going on in the workplace as far as relationships and interactions with one another and organizational culture. And if it's something that's going to be challenging, we need to address it. So let's look at some of the reasons why people bring their dispositions to the workplace. And the real challenge is when this is a manager. That's a whole nother story that really needs some HR or somebody, if your company's not big enough to have an HR department, some type of intervention. Because managers who are difficult make life even more miserable. Because with a fellow employee, you may be able to just kind of dismiss that person and move on. But with that manager, you got to report to them. And so, man, I'm telling you, that can be stressful. You can take it home to your family. Your kids deal with it. Your spouse deals with it. And it's almost like work is it's always with you. And so let's look at some of these reasons why. And some of these you'll be familiar with. I am not a psychologist, but I read enough books you would think that I am. All the stuff I read on this stuff. The first one is, and this is just straightforward, and I'm just going to put it out there, is this plain narcissism. Narcissism. Some people are a problem because they ain't never wrong. Yeah, I'm smiling because it's a tough one. They're never wrong. I mean, no matter what the situation, this person is always right. That is a difficult person to be around. When you try to explain things or you try to look at things from different perspective, if you're having a team meeting and they always have to be right, that is taxing, is stressful, is aggravating, and it can deplete you. Remember we did yeah, Eva, that is a big one. Narcissistic people are oh my God, they wear people out. Yes. Hey, my girl, Leonie, look at my daughter from South Africa. Leonie, we need to reconnect. I'm serious. Well, we'll talk about that later. But glad to see you on board. And you should see the kids now. They're just amazing. So we'll talk about that another time. But narcissism destroys organizational culture, destroys organizational relationships. It causes people to want to quit, gives you turnover issues. It just drives people crazy when you have a narcissistic person on your team. And so when that happens, that's another level of intervention because you can't HR away narcissism. They need help. They need mentor coaching. They need counseling. Now, if this person has some potential and you realize that they do it, to get them some help. Sometimes you may say, hey, listen, you need to go. You can't, you have good potential. We believe that you really could be an asset to this company, but your desire to be right with everything is driving us crazy. Hey, Patricia, glad to have you on board. It's driving us crazy. It really is. And we would love to have you on this team. However, you have to deal with this. It's not our problem right now. It's yours. And again, when you're on Facebook, put your name in because it says, sometimes it just says Facebook user. Don't say just appreciate the good morning, but who are you? So put it in your name in there because it just says Facebook user sometimes. So narcissism is one of the reasons. You know, saying, hey, Omar, how you doing? Thank you. Narcissism is one of the reasons, and narcissisms can destroy, listen to me, it can destroy organizational culture. One narcissistic person can destroy the culture of an entire organization. That person should not be allowed to do that. Okay? They shouldn't be allowed to. You need to deal with that. Because when you go to work every day, you want people to be functional. You want them to be productive. You don't want them to be stressed out because of a person, one individual. I've had to coach managers in that capacity where they just got narcissistic personality disorder and tendencies, and they just want to rule and run everybody. And then everybody's sick, everybody's frustrated, folk don't want to show up for work, taking 6 days. It's not a good thing. All right. So narcissism. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Good morning, Lily. All right. Good to have you on board. That's another one. Another one is just a little bit more simplistic and can be dealt with if we understand it. And that's why it's good to take these assessments. It's just personality styles. Personality styles. You know, like some people, their personalities clash. And like, you have analyticals, you have drivers, you have amiables, and you have demonstratives. And a lot of times people are problems or challenges because their style is really clashing. And I'm gonna give one style that really seemed to have the greatest challenge, and it almost borderlines that narcissism thing, is your driver personalities. Because driver personalities wear people out too, because they just want to get it done, and there's no sensitivity to how they do it. There's no sensitivity. Now, they're very productive. Don't get me wrong. They get the job done. They're very good at it. Steve Jobs was one of them. Now, I mean, obviously you look at him and say, man, he built one of the biggest companies in the world, but he gave millions of people heart attacks. His employees, when they talked about him, said he was a tyrant. So people look at him and they praise his work. But boy, if there's literally thousands of people that work for Apple that got stomach ulcers and all that kind of stuff. He made his billions, but boy, he wrecked a lot of people. And I'm just calling it like it is. It's not me. It's just what was written out here. And you got to understand, no, that's narcissism. Yeah. And so yes, you're right. TC Strength Finders is one of the big ones. And so, it helps us. You got to understand personality styles are typically, you clash because people have a tendency to operate out of their style. You hear what I'm saying? They operate out of their style. And so they look for communications typically with people who are in the same mode that they are in. So they're comfortable with that. And so what happens to, like if they have somebody, if you're an analytical and you're dealing with a demonstrative, you may want to deal with you're dealing with the analytical. Demonstratives is like they're an analytical, and they're not. You know what I mean? Or the tough ones are always the amiable. Those are the gentler souls, and want everything to be all right with everyone. And it hurts them a lot, man, that you have certain types of personalities that really dig into them and sometimes even label them. And that person with that amiable personality is an asset to an organization. They're the ones that's going to care, and they're the ones that's going to comfort, and they're the ones that's going to say it's going to be okay. With the drivers, just going to say, get it done. And so we got to understand that we need certain styles, but this is important. Well, I'm not going to get to the solutions yet. I'll get to the solutions. So personalities in just a moment, just talking about it. Another one too, a challenge with people who are problematic in the workplace is people's upbringing, what the culture was like in their home. Some homes were combative. Like some people didn't know how to communicate in their homes. It was always arguing, always conflict. You know what I mean? Never learned how to just have a basic, simple conversation. And then you grow up, and then you got to go into the workplace. And guess what? You take that to your job, because that's how we operated. Like I work with a lot of corporations and managers, and they'll tell me one of their greatest challenges is finding employees who can come in and immediately contribute from a values perspective. Like they may have the talent or the skills, but values wise, they don't even exist. And so they get the job done. They get the job done. And the reality of the matter is they end up tearing a lot of people up in the process. That's not productive in the workplace. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They bring that same attitude into the workplace. Absolutely, Eva. They bring the same attitude into the workplace. And so they're interacting with you like they interacted with their siblings or they interacted with their mom and dad or whoever, because their minds have been so wired to operate that way. That's all they do. That's all they know. I'm giving you some knowledge here today. If you work with an organization, this is free stuff this is really good information, because we deal with this stuff, man, and we don't even know what we're dealing with. We don't realize it's much deeper than that person just has a bad attitude. There's usually something attached to that bad attitude. It's not just they have a bad attitude, not just they're just a mean person. Yeah, they probably are mean, but there's a reason why they're mean. You know what I mean? Maybe like one of the challenges with narcissists is you can't never tell them they're wrong. So people have a tendency to back off of them. And so and so what happens is they continue to think they're right, even though they're wrong, because people don't have the fortitude to tell them and deal with them and get in their face and say, you know what, you need to change. You need to change. This is the way you treat people, the way you interact with people is wrong. And you're not always right. You're not always right. Sometimes you just got to accept being wrong. And great leaders understand that they have to bend their ways. If and personality styles understand certain personalities. If you're going to lead people, you can't always lead from your perspective, your personality style. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. One of the greatest coaches out there ever was John Wooden. And John Wooden said this. He said, they asked him the question, how did he win 10 NCAA championships? And he said a term, write this term down if you're a leader in any capacity, leader in your home, a leader in your company, leader in your business, a leader, whatever. This is what he said, and it was the most powerful things I've ever heard a leader say. They asked Mr. John Wooden, UCLA coach, 10 NCAA championships, 7 in a row. Nobody's ever done that since that time. And this is yeah, there's a Rudy, but absolutely. This is what he said. The reason why I've won 10 NCAA championships with these players is I have a thing called customized motivation. Think about this. Customized motivation. And what customized motivation is he said, I don't coach each player the same way. Man, that was worth the price of admission right there. I don't manage all my people the same way. I don't interact with my kids because they're all different. You see, so the great leader understands that. This is a leadership lesson more than anything. The great leader understands that when you come to people, you got to find out where the people are and deal with them where they are, man, and help them become better by making adjustments to yourself. You see? And so the reality of the matter is that upbringing and culture, back to our original thought here, is something because people carry this stuff at home. I remember I spoke for Walmart Corporation. I think I told y'all that. They flew me down on a private jet and spoiled me because now I just want to fly on private jets all the time. So y'all messed me up flying me on that jet. But I went down to Bentonville and spoke to all 8,000 of their senior leaders worldwide and put me up on the stage. And we talked about core values. And one of their core values we talked about was striving for excellence. So it was phenomenal. The time down at Walmart, speaking to all of them senior managers all over the world, because they had people satellited in and everything. And so it was a great time. We do a lot of work around core values. And so we were down there talking to them about it. Largest company in the world at that time. But I had a conversation with Mike Duke, the then president, Mike Duke. He's no longer the president of Walmart. And we just had a side conversation about leadership. And I asked him a question. I said, Mr. Duke, I said, what is the greatest challenge? Thank you, Letitia. It's good to see you. All right. What is your greatest challenge when it comes to these core values that you have, these 4 specific core values that Walmart has, in making sure every person in all your 922 million locations align themselves with these values? And he was really good. He gave me some metric type stuff and some data type, they do a lot of data and research. And I said, okay, I get that. But let me just give you a simple statement from my perspective. And from my perspective, your biggest challenge is you have, 20 million employees going to all these different locations with different upbringings. He looked at me like, what? I said, yeah, they all come from different homes with different value systems and different modes of operation. And you're trying to get them all to operate in the Walmart way. That's a lot of work. He said, I never thought about it like that. I said, yeah. I said, people just like to label attitudes and dispositions, but the reality of the matter is it's upbringing, man. Some folks just argue because that's what their family do. They just some arguing people. Just argue all the time. And they bring it to Walmart, or they bring it to your company, or they bring it to Verizon, or they bring it to, I don't know, any business. And you're like, what's wrong with that person? Well, go back to their house and you'll figure out why. They've been arguing for the last 50 years. So we got to educate people on their dispositions in this work we do. And that's why I love talking about this stuff and training about it, because we got to understand people don't always know what they're doing because no one has ever really addressed it. Okay. And then the last one is just something from an organizational perspective we need to consider is this the organizational culture. Some organizations, I hate to say this, oh Lord, I'm gonna get in trouble, but it's the truth, have combative organized cultures. Just combative cultures. I mean, and a lot of times that's a byproduct of combative leadership. Leaders who have not learned how to groom people into leaders. So they're going to get the job done the way they want to get it done, or you're going to just pay the price for it. And yeah, good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Cheryl. Thank you. Everybody's wishing me happy birthday. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate these birthday wishes. But, to me, I'm the kind of person I celebrate and then get back to work. I appreciate the birthday wishes. I really do. But I mean, I'm like, man, I'm on a mission to try to impact as many lives as we can during the time I have. But here's the thing, people just, these cultures, some leaders are just like, you gonna get the job done and blah, 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 blah. And never take the time to groom people, never take the time to analyze their personality, never take the time to go through I love doing these trainings on emotional intelligence and how self-management is one of the most powerful keys to effective leadership. If I got to superimpose the lead, I'm not really a good leader. I'm a tyrant. But if I can encourage people to do the job based upon self-management and self-control through emotional intelligence, then guess what? When I communicate to that person, that doesn't mean I have to be smiling and everything nice, but the person is going to see that I'm sincere, even though I may be focused. That's a different type of approach. I'm not saying all leaders are supposed to walk around smiling all day and placating all the day. No, you're a leader, man. Sometimes you got work to do. But it's the way you communicate to your people that's going to make them respect you and want to work for you. Like athletes say it like this. Athletes say, there's some coaches I love to work with. It's not just that because they're the nicest coaches in the world. It's just that the way that they do things, they understand they're dealing with human beings. And there's a way to get people to do things. Like John Wooden said, customized motivation. I coach this player differently than I coach that player, then I coach that player. This player is wind up, push them out, get it done. They just stay on them and they're going to get. Some players are a little bit more on the gentle side. So you got to lift them up a little bit. And you got to say, hey, it's going to be all right. I'm with you. We're going to make this happen. See, that's great leadership. I love what Andrew Carnegie said. I read a lot of his books, and he said this. He had this company back in the 30s, or I don't know what time period it was. He said, I have, at that time, it was 2,000 employees. Check this out. I never seen anything like this before. He said, I have 2,000 employees, and I know them all on a first name basis. How does a person do that? 2,000 employees, and I know them all on the first name basis. Man, that's powerful. Some people got 20 employees, don't know them all on first name basis. What's your name again? I've only been here for like 8 years. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to you. That's not good leadership. Okay. And so when we're dealing with difficult people, you see, the difficult people, man. So I appreciate it. Again, another happy birthday. Thank you. So we talked about narcissism, upbringing, and culture, and we talked about a home culture, and then also organizational culture. Those are three things where you find that are kind of like the epicenter of having people having bad dispositions and bad attitudes in the workplace. And so a couple of solutions. Number one, here's the thing. Yeah. Some people see you and don't even speak. And that is so immature when people do that. That's like childlike. And I always tell people, man, we ain't kids in the workplace. We're adults. We should be able to rationalize and reason. And if we can't, then we're not there yet. You know what I mean? I've had to tell so many managers in meetings that we've been doing training around core values and team building, because we do these retreats too. We don't do it now because of COVID as much, but online we're still doing the training. But we would do these retreats and go away for a weekend and just build team values and team synergy, and it was powerful. But sometimes I would have to tell the managers, you know what I mean? You brought me in to contract me to bring the team together, but you're the reason why the team is the problem. You see what I'm saying? Facebook user, when he says, good morning, everyone, please put your name in there because we can't see who you are. You see? And so it's that's hard when somebody contract you, they sign the contract, and we're going to go in there and we're going to build this team and we're going to build this synergy, and you get in there, you see how they communicate to the team. You're like, that's why you got a problem. The team is waiting for you to be an effective leader not beat them down for productivity, and things like that to get the job done and make them operate in fear every day. It's not good leadership. So you need to be honest and be able to tell people, "Hey, Kelly, how you doing? Good. I'm glad you put your name in. Now we know who you are." You need to be able to tell people, "I don't like the way you're treating me." Listen to that one simple statement. "I don't like the way you're treating me. I feel intimidated. I want to do a good job for your company. I want a good job for your organization, but I feel intimidated. Is there some way for us to have a conversation about this?" Now, if a person doesn't like to talk about that stuff, they're babies. They're not adults. That's childlike. Yeah, I can say this, and I know I'm behind the screen here, but if I was in your face, I would say the same thing. I'm not one of them folks. Some people talk they big and bad behind the computer. No, I'm big and bad in front of folk. I had a couple. I mean, seriously, yeah. I had one company said, "Well, the manager got so upset. He said, well, I don't think this is the right." I said, "Well, yeah, it's not the right one. If you're gonna bring me in here just to beat your people up, like you already beating them up, then I don't want to be no part of that. When you told me you want to make change, I thought you meant all of us, not just the people." "No, man, I should have known that before." I said, "Well, you should have." I said, I'm not here. I see how you communicating with me. I can imagine how you communicate with the people." Oh, like what kind of consultant is that? It's got to be mutual. You know what I mean? Everybody, when we're talking about organizational change, we need to get everybody on board. So another thing about difficult people, thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate that. This is what I do. I share information and we got a lot of customers. I'm busy consulting all over it, but sometimes I just want to share information and see where it goes, how we could be of help. And every Monday at 10, we do this. And I'm talking to one of my good friends about something on Friday at noon, a luncheon learn. We'll tell you more about that after I talk to him. I'm not going to tell you what it is until he gives me the green light. And this is going to really be powerful. We'll be Fridays at noon. Can we do them all the time? It's hard to say because of our work schedules, but we're going to do, our consulting schedules, but we'll see. All right. So be honest and assess this is important. Assess the information and don't let it linger. Don't let it linger. Okay. It's important that we don't let people think that they're okay when they're not okay. That's when it becomes habitual. We need to be mature enough to tell people, "I'm not feeling the way you treat people." And if we as adults can't have that conversation, then the reality of it is we're not adults, we're babies. Yeah, I said that. I remember saying that one time at an organization. Boy, everybody looked at each other. Thank you. Appreciate that. For the birthdays. Yeah. But I said, I thought all the time, I'm sitting there like, did he just say what I thought he said? I said, yeah. I said, we full grown adults in here. We can't even talk challenges. I said, that's little kid stuff. Little kids get mad at each other because they can't be honest. They just want the things to be their way. But adults should be able to reason and rationalize things. It's called maturity. It's called maturity. So that's why it's important that you can't let it linger, and you need to let people know. This is really frustrating. I want to come to work and have a great work experience, but it's so hard to come here every day when you write all the time and beating us down. Now, you don't do that in front of people. You have meetings, closed door meetings, and you talk. But your health and your well-being and your vitality is important, and no one should have that kind of power when it comes to your life, making you frustrated. You can't go home, arguing at the kids and your husband and spouse or your wife because of what's going on at the workplace. That's ridiculous. The workplace should be a place where we work, but show mutual respect for one another. All right. And sometimes when this gets too bad, mediation. Okay. HR. This is too much. This person is just too much. Yep. And I'm going to say this to my driver personalities and my slightly narcissistic people. You need to really work on your personality the most because you're the ones that really wear people out. I'm just going to be honest with you. When you look at most people I interact with, when I do these programs, the ones that seem to have the greatest challenges in the workplaces with people who think they're right all the time and people that drive people into the ground. Those are two personalities that are really dangerous in the workplace. I'm not trying to say that all don't have challenges, but those ones can destroy a workplace culture quicker because these people are so bent on being right all the time. And nobody's right all the time. So I'm going to keep emphasizing that. And then lastly, something we do a lot of, I mentioned flying down to Walmart, and we've done this with hundreds of companies, build your core value system. And this is important. Hire to your core values. Hire to your core values. Don't just bring somebody on because they have talent. How do they interact with people? Put them in scenarios and situations to see, you know what I mean? We're about teamwork here. Do you always have to be right? Give me a scenario where you worked at a team and you relinquished power. In other words, you gave in to what the team wants. Give me a scenario when you did that before. And if that person struggles, or if you can tell they're lying by the look in their eye, they're making stuff up, don't hire them. Because you need to understand when you're working within an organization, you're building a team. And it takes teamwork to make the dream work. Give me a high five. I was the first person to start saying that about 20 years ago. Now everybody's saying it and taking credit for it. That was my statement. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. And it ain't no teamwork if you just running people into the ground because of a bad attitude and dealing with difficult people. So you got to be honest with people. You know, it's just a high five. You got to be honest with people. Thank you, Rachel. You got to be honest. You got to get mediation in the cases where you need to get mediation. You need to get HR involved if it's too out of control. There you go, Shauna. There you go. You know, and and you got to look at your organizational culture. And then sometimes you just need to focus on building those core values: honest communication, respect for one another, and not necessarily just doing something and putting it on a piece of paper. No, not a piece of paper. You want to be able to have a conversation about what we need to do to change. And so I'm going to do this. Put this in here. If you have any questions, and that's my website. If you want to discuss some of what we discussed, reach out to me. If you go to my website, there's a section down there. You got to scroll down to see it, where you can schedule a 15-minute strategy session to just debrief on some of this. I always tell people I don't mind doing stuff like that. Just don't call just I appreciate small talk, but I don't have a lot of time. So I don't need to talk about 25 other things before we get to the point. So if you do take me up on this and want to spend time, not that I'm arrogant, or I don't want to seem like I'm arrogant. It's just time is valuable. Rachel Revel knows that. I wish she was on. I would have her share some stuff, but we time is too valuable. And if I get 15 minutes, it's 15 minutes to diagnose and analyze and come up with solutions, not 15 minutes to talk about, the dog, the cat, the chicken, and the 5 birds that just flying in the backyard. I know, coach is crazy. I am who I am. So that's my website. I tell people all the time too, don't keep me in the secret. We consult and train all over the place. We've been doing a lot of work as far as we got a powerful equity model we've created for race relations. And we've been working with organizations all over the country. We're doing some all online. Man, we've been doing some neat work. It's been powerful to see how lives have been transformed. And I'm loving it. I'm just going to say one scenario. We have one group we're working with, and we have several groups that are primarily, Caucasian organizations. But this one group in particular was they've shifted so much as to their understanding of race relations that many of the people said they're going home and teaching what we're learning in the sessions to their children. I said, man, that's great stuff right there, because they weren't exposed to it. And they said, we've gotten some incorrect information and we want our kids to know better. We had one person that said, I feel deprived. Why don't I know about all these people? We did some research on influential people of color, and we reported out on it. And they said, how come I didn't know about these people? How come the schools didn't talk about them? So we do a lot of great work. We have a lot of conversations with people. We don't beat people up. But when we get done, people have new systems, new values, in the case of equity, race relations. And I'm telling you, man, we're trying to make a difference here. So it's not just me. I do have a team, and we are making a difference in the lives of a lot of people, adults, youth, across the board. So there's my website. If there's any questions, reach out to us. It's 10:35. I'm way over my time. I'm supposed to go 30 minutes. That's it. And we're done for the day. So what I'm going to want y'all to do too, is if you see this as valuable, just share it. Just share it on your page and say, hey, man, we just learned some valuable information. We're dealing with difficult people, because this is how people get to know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So share it on your page. Let people know about it every Monday at 10 o'clock. And again, keep in mind, Friday at 12, we're going to start doing something as well. I'm talking to my good friend Pierre Campbell about that, and hopefully we can make that happen. So again, listen, be honest with people. Don't let narcissists drive you crazy. All right. Don't let controlling people drive you crazy. You stand your ground, you deal with it, you get mediation when you need help, work on your culture, because the reality is you shouldn't be working in no workplace where you got stomach aches and headaches and can't eat and all that because of the job. Come on, man, that's a job. Should be some joy in the work that you do. All right. So thank you all for the happy birthdays. I think I got about 922,000 of them on LinkedIn. It's funny with these social media now, man. You get so many happy birthdays and you can't respond to all of them. So I just say a collective thank you. Appreciate that. And my family, I'm doing the vegan thing. So my family last night had I had a vegan meal and some vegan cupcakes and all them things are good too, man. Don't think that being a vegan is not, there's some good food there with the vegan. We had some bean patties. Oh, it was good stuff, man. So thank you all so much. And share this share this in your workplace too. Thank you. You have a blessed day as well. Somebody's blessed birthday. Share this in your workplace. This could be like a study for some of your team. You know what I mean? Take this information and share it with them, man. Listen, you ain't paying for this stuff. I get paid to do this stuff, and I'm putting it out here. Just share it with them because it could be information that could be helpful. All right. Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate it. I'm gone. Peace out. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.